All right, and we're live. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. Today, I am chatting with Reece Colette. He has recently left Twitter, but I still found him on Facebook, so I keep bugging him there. You know what we do here, Reece. We talk about people's journeys away from their belief systems. So what I kind of want to know is when you first decided or started thinking that this stuff was nonsense, and what led you away from it, and what led you into becoming more of an atheist activist, and give us some of the ups and downs along the way, you know, that kind of stuff.
Well, my whole journey started about 2 years ago, I'd say.
Ups and downs. All right. You know, that kind of stuff.
And my whole journey started.
Oh, we got echo.
Yeah, that was me. My bad. I was just logging into the chat. So my whole journey started about 2 years ago. I became an ordained minister. Was planning on starting my own church. Yeah, I was planning on starting my own church here in Utah because I really don't like the Mormons. So I was talking with a bunch of my friends at lunch. They were ministers as well at a local church I attended, and you know I went up and preached a bunch of times at that church as well. Everybody loved me there. They loved listening to me talk. I really had this spirit with me at that point, you know, and
Right.
went out to lunch with these guys, and they were talking about some of these other stories in the Bible I had never heard of. You know, I knew like the flood story, you know, the Jericho story, that type of thing, and they were talking about like all these other stories I had nothing, like Balaam and the donkey, and never heard of it.
Really?
Never heard of it. And so I'm like, you know what? In order for me to understand this and to, you know, to preach to these other people that, you know, I'm going to be starting my own church, in order for me to understand what they want to know, I need to read this whole thing from front to back. And I did, and I got to about the book of Numbers, and I was like, this is complete horseshit.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing is I got approved for a loan from the bank to start my own church and everything.
Wow. So you never did actually start that, or?
No, I actually canceled the loan. And even the people at the bank were wondering what was going on.
So you never actually used any of the money. You just kind of gave it all. You said, fuck this, forget it.
Exactly. I was like, I can't do this. And, you know, I was talking to my friends, and I was asking them, it's like, you know, have you guys actually read the book? And a lot of them haven't, like from cover to cover. They just know the stories. And I was talking to them about a couple of these stories, you know, like how to get rid of mold in houses, stuff like that, you know, cooking goats in their mother's milk, that type of thing. And they're like, well, that's just how they did it back then. And I'm like, no, dude, that's insanity. That's insanity. That's not how this stuff works. You know, you can't get rid of you know, leprosy and stuff like that by, you know, sacrificing a bird. You can't do that.
Hell, if you could, everyone would be doing it. But, you know, not that there's that many cases of leprosy these days, at least not here.
Well, not now. People know how to wash their skin, but, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but
all those bird sacrifices worked.
You know, just kind of like Aaron Ross' story, they told me, you know, just have faith, believe it, you know, fake it till you make it, you know, just doubt your doubts. And I'm like, I can't do this. I cannot do this. So I tried to learn everything I could about not only Christianity, but then I went from Christianity to Islam. And then from Islam, I was like, you know what, I might as well keep going. And I went to Mormonism, and, you know, that's about where I kind of went to. And I'm kind of learning more of the Vedic type stuff, like the Hindu at this moment. But mostly I like to go deep into the mythology, like Greek and Roman, Sumerian type stuff. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Sumerian stuff's really cool. That's why I like watching the Digital Hammurabi channel, because it's got a lot of stuff on that. Josh
is really good.
Yeah.
And then I've been getting the thing that I'm most known for around here with my friends is astrotheology. Not like the Santos or Jordan Maxwell type stuff where it's like spirits, vibrations, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the more logical, like this is where the story came from.
Right. Okay.
Not so like the woo stuff. I don't believe in the woo stuff. It's like, this is where it came from.
Right. So it's more like looking into the actual stories where these mythologies are born out of.
Yeah. So my search is for like the actual God. I've always been looking for like an actual God, a deity, something I could actually pin down. And I have not done it yet. I have not been able to complete that yet. I'm still looking for an actual thing that I would call God out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to see where these stories came from. And so that's where I get into the mythologies, and I can see all the parallels between all these different stories, myths, and everything like that, where they just grabbed them and put them all into the Bible, changed the names, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Sure, because they've done that lots of times with some of the stories in the Bible. They're all borrowed from previous versions, we'll say. Most of them, anyways. I mean, they did come up with some of their own original mythologies, but mostly in the Old Testament, I think. But yeah. Okay, so at the point where you decided you were going to send back the loan and not go ahead and create a church, what was seemed to be choppy. Hang on. What was kind of your next step from there?
Well, it took me about a year after I read the Bible and kind of figured out that this is all fake. It took me about a year to get through that because it was devastating. Because I was a firm believer. Like I would damn people to hell constantly. If you didn't believe what I believed, you're going to hell. Mormons, they're going to hell. Muslims, going to hell. All that other stuff. And I look around and it's like, wow, this whole thing doesn't exist. And I was acting like that. What kind of person? What kind of person am I? And so I had to really take a look at myself, what I believe in, my ideas, my deep held beliefs, and that took me a long time to get through.
Yeah, well, yeah. When you're into these types of beliefs for your entire life, it becomes an emotional part of you. So when you start realizing these kind of things, you can have that effect on you. You almost go through the 5 stages of grief, after someone passes away. All that. It's quite a similar thing, I think, because you get angry too, and you get depressed, and all kinds of things. I've heard this from many people. So.
Yeah, I had my angry atheist stage at one point in time. that whole militant, like, I'm going to come out, I'm going to go out and preach the negative word of religion, and that didn't go well here in Utah.
No, I bet not. Were you ever confronted by anyone while you were doing stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. A lot of Mormons, they come up to me and they say, like, well, where do you think you go when you die? And I said, well, where do you think a cat goes when it dies? Is there a cat heaven?
Before you were born?
Is there a cat heaven? And the Mormons, they have such crazy beliefs. They have just wacky beliefs all the time, and it's hard to. Sometimes for me, it's hard to actually talk to the Mormons because, like, they're so indoctrinated that whatever you tell them, you can show them proof on paper saying, like, this is true, this is not, and they just won't even look at it. Like, they'll look at it and it just goes right. They don't understand it.
Yeah, what's that called?
Cognitive dissonance.
There we go. Yeah, they prefer to believe their beliefs regardless of whether or not they're true, and anything you present to them, they're just going to poo-poo. Oh, that almost rhymed.
My favorite thing is they say that, Reece, we'll look for you. We will look for you. I'm like, what do you mean you'll look for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
On the other side of the, in limbo, where the souls are damned, that they'll come and look for me to come and try to preach the word of Jesus to me.
In limbo or purgatory, or whatever it's called.
Exactly. It's purgatory limbo. They'll come and try to find me. And it's like, I kind of take it. Isn't it too late
by then?
What was that?
Isn't it too late by then? If you're sitting there already?
You could be forgiven as well out there if you can actually say that you have received the word of God and all this other stuff. It's weird how they do it, but you know, at first I started taking offense to it when they would tell me that, because it'd be like, "I'll pray for you" type of thing, you know, like the arrogance.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I'm like, well, they're actually trying to really be sincere. So,
well, I'd like to think that, but you know, it's a lot of times I hear that "I'll pray for you" thing, and there's quite a bit of snark in there. So it's like, yeah, I'll think for you, as Seth Andrews would say.
Yeah, but these are like people that I know, and I know how they are, and some of them are being very sincere. And it's like, at first I'd be like, you know, you're dumb, but nowadays it's like I've got rid of the militant atheist thing. I'm more of the compassionate type of guy. Like, people come to me with questions about religion. Like, I had a friend just the other day ask me if Catholics are Christian. And I said,
what did you tell him?
I said, yeah, they were the first Christians. So the ones that started this whole thing, dude.
Nice of me to have Russ on, says Red Fetch.
Oh, yeah, fuck you, Red.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry, but that never gets old. That's just too
funny.
I
know, it's great.
Oh, by the way, welcome to the show, Red. I hope to see you in the after party afterwards. Oh, what? No, geez. Hey, look, I just won an iPhone X. Apparently.
Nice.
Could you hear that notification sound?
No.
Oh, okay, so I guess it's just me. What the fucking hell is this shit? I'm getting obliterated with notifications from my email, I suppose, and I thought I shut it off because it gets annoying when I'm trying to do these sorts of things. Oh, well. They'll pop up and I'll make them go away. Going to go grab dinner first. Okay, no problem. All right, so carry on, man. Sorry. Interrupted by Red.
Well, what other questions you need?
Oh, well, we're sort of talking about, you know, once you decided you weren't going to do the church, you sent the loan back, and you had friends asking you about religion and stuff like that. When did you decide you were going to start sort of becoming more of an activist to try and help people out of this sort of belief system? And has there been any success stories for you, like with friends or relatives? And how did they react to you becoming a non-believer too?
Okay, so I was actually raised Mormon. And, you know, my grandmother really pushed it on us because she didn't want to see us burning in hellfire, is what she would say. She would tell us that we're going to hell in a handbasket, and she's trying to save us. Okay, cool. So my parents are actually Mormon.
Okay.
My ex-wife is Mormon as well, like really Mormon. Like, her dad is a high priest in the whole religion.
High priest?
Yeah, he's a high priest.
The ones that smoke the doobies, or?
Oh, I wish. No,
yeah, maybe they calm down a bit.
So he's like one of the leaders of the local church.
Oh, okay, I see. And Badger just joined us in the chat too, by the way. Hey, Badger.
Yeah, so me and him have always had this little confrontation because I'm just a non-denominational Christian, whereas he's Mormon, and he keeps trying to push his stuff onto me. Well, that's kind of what the whole divorcing came from, is we just kept having this whole argument about religion, and, you know,
which one was right, kind of thing, or
exactly. And of course, his daughter was side with him, and, you know, she was brainwashed too. So, and now my kids are Mormons now too, as well. So.
Oh gosh, do you ever see them?
I see them about once a month.
And do they ever try and bring you back to the fold, so to speak?
Do they try to bring me?
Yeah.
No, they're still very young. My daughter tries to get me to pray and everything, and yeah, I'll pretend. Yeah, I'll close my eyes while she does her little prayers, that type of thing. Just because I care about her, and I don't want to, you know, I don't try to push anything of mine onto her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gotten to the point to where she doesn't push anything of hers onto me.
Well, that's good. So you guys kind of have found an agreement, sort of some middle ground there.
Yeah, she's 8 years old, and my son's just barely turned 5. So, you know, my daughter's a firm believer, and I don't see any point in trying to tell her this is fake, this is stupid, don't do this, because as soon as you do that, they're gonna bunker down on it. They're gonna really hold on to that faith because, you know, persecution means it's real.
Right. Yeah, I guess you may. It's tough because, you know, they're your kids too, and you kind of want to see them in a better place than having these kinds of beliefs. So maybe it might be wiser just to wait till she's older and a little bit maybe more capable of some critical thinking. I'm sure you probably see the possibility of that happening.
Yeah. So the thing that I really do with her is I really, really, really push learning mythology onto her. Okay. When I go and see them, I'm always talking about mythical stories, and I always try to pick the ones that have a really nice parallel with Bible stories and stuff like that, to where, you know, and I don't tell her that these have parallels, but she can see it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe she'll start thinking about that.
She has. She's like, that's interesting. It's just like that story in the Bible. And I say, yeah, it is. That's interesting, isn't it? But this was written 5,000 years before that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't come flat out and tell her that, you know, this is fake, that type of thing.
Right, but you're planting seeds.
And to answer for a love of.
I was just going to ask you the question too. Yeah. Oh, so you can see the chat. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I got the chat right here. So here in Utah, you have seminary classes that are right next to, like, seminary schools that are right next to schools. So you have one right next to the middle school, you have one right next to the high school. This is at every school here in Utah. And you don't get any credits for these classes, but you are very praised if you do go there. Like, I never went to the seminaries here because I was not a practicing Mormon. I hate the Mormon church. They're just a big gang. That's all they are. They're like a mafia gang. And so I never went to the seminary classes, and all the teachers would shun me. They'd be like, why don't you go? I said, well, I don't believe in that. And they would really get, like, offended when I say that. I said, I don't believe in that type of stuff. And I would be, you know, and I'd start spouting off anti-Mormon stuff that was actually true to the teachers, and they really did not like that. So I really did not have many friends here in the schools and stuff like that. You know, you had the group of loners. I was the loner of the loners. Because I didn't believe in that type of, you know, Joseph Smith type thing. And when I was in school, I was kind of like a nun. I didn't believe in anything at all. But then about when I was 18, 19, I kind of got really into the Bible. I was really into a guy named Arnold Murray. He did the Shepherd's Chapel on TV.
Never heard of it.
Oh, it's very interesting. He breaks down the Bible into Hebrew and, like, really gets you into it. And he's a great teacher. He is a great teacher, but he's very biased. He's dead now, so.
Oh, okay. No, I never really. I'd see, like, these evangelical guys on TV all the time, but I just flip past, like Robertson and all those Jerry Falwell back in the day. And
I loved watching Joel Osteen just because of how fake that guy was. Even when I was a Christian, I'm like, look at how fake this guy is.
He just looks fake. He looks like he's made out of plastic, for crying out loud.
I know, he looks plastic. He's like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that smile, he had it permanently fixed that way. So he's like the Joker with that smile now. That's kind of like, you know what? I actually saw a meme, now that I think about it, of him with the Joker makeup on and the green hair, and I was like, that's fucking perfect.
Yeah, but the LDS, they're a very strange religion. It's like, it's a huge community thing. So if somebody drops out of the LDS church, they are shunned. They're put away. People stop talking to them, that type of thing. And it's like, you know, they try to sell you this idea that the only way to get to heaven is through the temple. The only way to get into the temple is with a temple recommend. The only way you're getting your temple recommend is if you are current on your tithing. And people do not connect these two things together.
Mm.
The church wants your money in order to save your life, your soul. And it's like, I've pointed this out to so many people, and they're like, well, they use it to help other people. They use the money to help other people. I'm like, no, they use that money to build churches. There are 7 churches in this little tiny town that I live in.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 churches right next to each other. Like, they share the same
park. These guys drive, like the
they
priests.
share the same parking lot. Okay, so the bishops here are very modest. They see, and in LDS Church, they say that they do not receive any money.
Really?
Like from the tithing, that they don't take any of that money at all.
Well, the elders and the priests or ministers or whatever you call them, they probably make they probably earn money because they probably get paid, is what I'm trying to say, from the church.
Well, I believe that they get benefits.
Okay.
I don't know if they actually get like a dollar fund type of thing, but they could get, go down to the bishop's storehouse and get things from there. Food, whatever, that type of thing. But they're all the bishops are very well off around here. They're, like, they all have jobs, they all work.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandfather, he was the first bishop in Indiana.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's on both sides of my family. My mom's
Mormonism.
Yeah, my mom's mom and dad, my dad's mom and dad, they were extreme Mormons, like all of them. So it's like I'm the black sheep.
Okay.
But I've talked to my dad and my mom about the religion and everything. I brought all this stuff up, and it's like they're starting to understand it. They're getting it. My mom used to tell me that prayer works. Prayer works just, even if there is no God, prayer works. And I'm like, it's a 50-50 chance, mother. She's like, what do you mean? And I say, well, let's say that Grandpa's in the hospital.
It's actually less.
I say, Grandpa's in the hospital. You pray for him. If he lives, it's a miracle. If he dies, God works in mysterious ways. Yeah. But if you do pray for people in the hospital, there's a better chance that they will die.
Yeah, that's what there was a couple of recent studies they did where people were told, there was like the placebo one, and then people were told they were being prayed for and people didn't know, and people in the middle were told they might be, and the ones that were actually told they were being prayed for, apparently they fared worse than the other 2 groups.
Correct. Another question from for a love of how did my family react when I told them? I didn't come flat out and tell them. I just started like dropping little hints here and there. And then my mom would always go up to see my children with me, because she wants to see her grandkids too.
Of course.
They live 3 hours away from me. So, and when we would be driving, I would turn on some godless engineer. And I'm like, hey, Mom, listen to this guy. He's funny as hell. And she started listening, and she started like, wow.
He is.
She started like, wow, he's got a point. He's got a point. And then I put on some, and I'm like, oh, I'm really into science. That's another thing. I'm really into science. So I put on some Lawrence Krauss, that type of stuff, about cosmology. And it's like, and he talks about like, we've been out there. There is no heaven. There's nothing out there besides the things that we can actually see. Yeah. That type of thing. And so she started kind of getting into it, and I started explaining astrotheology to her, and it just blew her mind.
Wow. So has these things that you're sharing with her, has it caused her to think a little differently?
Absolutely. She's starting to kind of see the actual truth, but she tries to hold on to as much faith as she can.
It's not uncommon.
Because she was raised really religious, and like she wants to have that little bit of faith for just in case. And it's like I haven't done the whole Pascal's wager to her yet.
Right. I was just gonna say, yeah. It kind of sounds like a little bit of that.
That's exactly what it is, and it's like I'm trying to move slow because I don't want to ruin relationship with my mother. My dad, he's very poor in health right now, and. that type of thing. You know, he's got this weird disease and on disability, that type of thing. And I showed him some videos, and he's like, you know, if there is a God, he wouldn't do this to me.
Right.
And
a lot of times that can have that, like a lot of times, especially people that get really sick, especially with something that's rare that their apparently all-powerful God should be able to get rid of and doesn't, and leaves them sick. I mean, that can cause some thoughts away from beliefs, for sure. I've seen it myself. So
yeah. And around here in Utah, it's like, you know, we have "In God We Trust" on our license plates.
Wow.
Like that, you know, it's like in school, people would have their Book of Mormon scriptures, you know, because of the seminary classes, and like during lunch, it wouldn't be weird to see like a bunch of kids just reading the scriptures. You know, it's very, very, very odd. It's very cult-like around here.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that, especially in Mormonism. It's a lot similar to like the JWs as well. It's very cult-esque.
Yeah, very. It's very similar to SJWs.
Or no, just JWs. Unless you're talking about.
I said SJWs. I meant JWs. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was reading the chat. I got distracted. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I'm sort of keeping an eye on it as well. We thought maybe you were talking about that secret little known super Jehovah's Witness group. Like they all have powers.
That's them. That's what Nacho was a part of. The super J-Dubs.
Yes, super J-Dubs. Yeah. All right, guys. So even though we have been reading some questions from the audience, just so you know, for a love of, I often ask the questions about how family and friends have taken people's walking away from faith. So that's always usually covered in my deconversion stories. So, all right, dude. So I have a bit of a question. Brant's with us. I'm hesitant to ask because I don't know how you feel about this yet, but I was kind of curious, and I know some others are as well, as to why you left Twitter.
So for me, I just couldn't keep up with Twitter.
Okay.
It's like I would get like 500 messages, and it's like I'm not reading 500 messages.
No, I know. I you know what? When I get that in the chat groups and stuff, I just like I'll breeze a few, and then I'll be like, okay, I kind of get what's going on. Then I'll go right to the newer conversations to join in.
And it's like a lot of the topics, like just like on the main page of Twitter, a lot of the topics that are just like, you know, way over my head. It's like Steve McRae and his little philosophy thing. It's like you're just playing word games. I'm not into word games. And it's like, you know, I don't like how the program is. I don't like how it worked. So I was like, you know what, this is. I'm spending way too much time trying to get this thing to work, and it just didn't work out for me.
Okay, so basically, if anyone wants to get in touch with you these days, and they can't find you on Twitter, obviously they're not going to find you on Twitter anymore. You're still on Facebook, so you have a way to be reached if need be.
Yes, I'm on Facebook.
Yeah,
and I'm always on YouTube too. So you know. Wouldn't be odd to find me moderating a room anywhere.
That's true too. I see you kind of everywhere too. You're almost as omnipresent as Shane. Seems to be everywhere.
For a while there, Shane was gone for quite a while, and I'm like, where the hell did Shane go? And Notch has been around too.
Yeah. Notch is kind of omnipresent as well there. Oh yeah, Discord. You're in a few Discord groups too, are you not?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, me too. I barely go into Discord these
days. You did ask the question that have I taken anybody else out of the church? And the answer is yes. I've taken probably 24 people out of the church.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
How did you do that? Get into that. I want to hear about that.
Okay, so I would see the Mormon religion is like the easiest religion to debunk.
This is true.
It is the easiest one. All you gotta do is just start bringing up the history. Like you don't even need to read the book. Just bring up the history. It's the easiest thing. Just like Like, and the thing is,
underwear is not magic.
Yeah, what's funny is this is like we have so much, like there's very little evidence or proof about anything in the Bible. Like we don't even know if any of those people existed. But for Joseph Smith, there is so much evidence, newspaper articles, everything, letters, everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, we know he existed. We just call him a charlatan.
Yeah, but that's the thing is we have evidence that contradicts everything he says.
I see. Okay.
Just like the best way to disprove Book of Mormon is bring up the Pearl of Great Price, the Book of Abraham. Ask the Mormons how that was written, because he went. So people found out that he was this famous translator guy that could translate Egyptian, which nobody could back then. They didn't find the Rosetta Stone till later.
Right, and once they did, they realized he was full of shit too.
Super full of shit.
Oh yeah.
So what happened was this guy had these mummies and little scrolls and stuff that he was trying to sell. Well, the Mormons went through and they spent like $3,500 and bought those for Joseph Smith, and he came up with the whole book, book of Abraham from little bits and pieces of these scrolls that were left over. Well, from what we know of these actual scrolls, they are the Book of Breathing. It's the prayer of breath. So he translated something that we actually have physical evidence of in actual pages, because that was in every sarcophagus. It was like, the last rites in a way.
Oh, right. Okay. Sure.
And so he translated this whole book, got this whole book off of probably like 200 and something characters of Egyptian. But he writes this book that has like over 9,000 words in it.
That's a lot of words.
Exactly. So it's like one little character is like 3 pages.
Wow. Wait, so yeah. Joseph wrote these?
What was that?
Joseph wrote those books? The 9,000 word one?
Yeah, Joseph Smith wrote those. So he wrote the book. He wrote the Book of Mormon, and then all this other stuff happened. Then he wrote the Pearl of Great Price, which has the Book of Abraham, the Book of, it has a bunch of other books in there. Book of who is it? Adam, where it talks about how Jesus and Satan were brothers.
Jesus. Oh, that's right. That's right. He kept claiming they were actually brothers.
Yeah. And, that's the thing is, like, we actually have these pages of these scrolls that he translated from, and they say nothing like that. And once you tell that to these Mormons and you actually show this evidence, sometimes it piques their curiosity. Sometimes it goes straight to cognitive dissonance. So the ones that would actually listen to me, I would really hook them in, and I'd start showing them, and I have this one guy, his name was Jesus, and like at first he didn't believe anything I was saying, and then like the stuff I started saying was making too much sense. And he was like, wow, this is complete bullshit. And he started going out and being an activist as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
So yeah, he's one of those, when you showed him this stuff, he's like, I can't believe I was fooled by this, that kind of attitude. Yeah.
And, like the LDS, it's like, they don't, it's like the most racist religion in the whole world, if you ask me. But the thing is, they don't try to be racist. They think that the color of your skin is how saintly you are, how spiritual and saved you are. Like
really?
there's a story where like a bishop was talking to these little African American kids, and like they were getting all excited about the spirit and everything, and he writes down in his journal, which is part of like a little complimentary book from the Book of Mormon and everything from the Mormons, and it says that he could actually see their skin getting lighter.
Really?
Yes.
That's
and it's
something
like,
I've never heard of.
And it's like, oh my gosh, you guys are so horrible.
Wow, it's almost like they stand behind words like white is right or something.
That's exactly what they do. That's why they wear the white garments, is to show their spiritual superiority, if you will.
Well, white's always been associated with the angelic stuff, the light of heaven, that kind of shit, right? So That makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense that they think that.
Yeah, in a woo way, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's good way to put it.
And there's all of these anecdotes of like the garments. Somebody got shot and they were wearing the garments, and their garments saved them.
Mm-hmm.
The magic underwear saved them by stopping bullets, that type of thing. And it's like
magic underwear, right?
Like prove it. It's like prove it. Go ahead. Let's put your faith to the test.
I've often thought about asking them about that. I would ask, "Are you wearing your magic underwear?" And if I get a yes answer, I get, "So if I took a shot at your balls with my gun right now, you'd be okay?"
Well, and there's like one was in a fire, like his house caught on fire, and he came out, and the only thing that was left on him was his garments. It's like, okay, guys, he slept in his freaking garments, okay? These are all anecdotes, people saved in car accidents, that type of thing. It's like, you guys will just like fish for anything, won't you?
Yep, many do. They kind of reach for anything that sounds logical, reasonable in their head to continue with their irrational beliefs.
Yeah, it's a group bias type thing.
Yep, sure.
And like the Book of Mormon is complete crap. It's like they said that the people here rode horses. There were no horses.
Right.
So they said, well, they weren't exactly horses. They were tapirs. If anybody wants to look them up, if anybody wants to look up one of those, try riding one of those little sons of bitches. It's like an anteater.
Close. They'd need to have balls. That's
exactly. May I take a shot at your balls right now? That's a loaded question.
Come on, Spooky. We've been making fun of the two of them for this exact reason for a while now.
No, we don't have the same mic. We have the same mother.
There you go.
But they say that they rode horses in combat. There was millions of people here. Like the Battle of Cumorah was like a huge battle where the Lamanites and Nephites fought each other, which they're Jewish.
Yeah.
And they
over here.
And a million people died at Hill Cumorah, which Joseph Smith called the mountain behind his house Hill Cumorah. But people say no, it's in South America. But we have yet to find that. And not only that, they fought with steel weaponry, which we have not any evidence of that. We had no metalworking foundries here in America. They had elephants that they rode into combat.
Elephants.
They had wheat and barley.
Well, I thought they discovered something similar to wheat that was grown thousands of years ago here.
Yeah, it was very similar, but it's not what they were talking about in the Book of Mormon, though.
Okay. I see. Okay, so when were horses introduced to North America? I can't remember that, actually.
It would be during the conquistadors, when the Spanish came. I thought. Right around that Spanish time. Came across, yep. And
all this was supposed to have taken place before that, correct?
Oh, way before that. This is right after the Tower of Babel.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
wow.
So you had Jewish people coming across the Atlantic Ocean, not just once, but twice.
Must have been the bridge they built.
No, they used submarines. They used these leather football-looking things with a hole on the top and a hole on the bottom.
Wait, what? I've never heard of this.
Yeah, how can it float though, right? A hole on the top and a hole on the bottom. They say they look like footballs. They were like leather submarines, and they came across that way. First, you had the Jaredites, then you had Lamanites and Nephites that came across.
Wow.
And the Lamanites did something really bad, and God didn't like it, so God cursed them with dark skin, and forever they'll have dark skin, and the Lamanites killed all the Nephites. And then, like Mormon was kind of, but it goes back to like Noah's Ark type of thing.
Right.
To where Ham got cursed with that type of thing.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. And so all the Lamanites killed the Nephites, where it was Mormon wrote down a lot of this stuff. That's why they call it the Book of Mormon. He's the one that kept a lot of the scribe of it, the scripts of everything. And then you had Moroni, which was the last Nephite, and he put it all on the plates of gold.
Right. Where are these plates of gold, by the way?
God took them, but eight people seen them. Like, they didn't physically see them; they were covered in a sheet, and they couldn't see them because if they opened it up, the glory of it would kill them.
Right, like the Ark in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, but they picked it up and they could feel it was a square shape. But Joseph Smith's dad was a metal worker. It could have been lead.
Yep, exactly. And then they'd need all those alchemists to try and turn it into gold.
Right. Yeah, there's no proof at all, and we actually have Joseph Smith's seer stone. We actually have it.
Really?
The one that he translated the books with. We actually have that.
Oh, shit.
It's like, very.
When you say we, who do you mean by we? Like,
like for a long time it was lost. Like it was in the Chicago Museum fire in like the 1900s. It was in that museum, but that's what they thought. But it wasn't in that museum. It was somewhere else, and it was like hidden underneath a bunch of stuff. Then we found it. Like everybody found it, and now we have it in museums. And it's like it's a seer stone, and it's just a rock that's brown with black stripes on it. That's all it is.
And this is what he used to translate?
Yeah, so how he would do it is he would grab his plates of gold, put them in a top hat with this stone, and he would literally put his face into his hat, and he would speak it out, and he would have his scribe that was behind a sheet writing it, what he would say.
Nice trick. You should have taken that on the road as some circus sideshow kind of thing.
Well, what's funny is the second book of Nephi, about 90% of the second book of Nephi is all plagiarized from Isaiah. It's literally like a direct copy from Isaiah.
Right. Wow.
And a lot of it, what he did is he just grabbed regular stories and changed the names and places.
Interesting. See, I don't know a whole shit ton about Mormonism. I know some of the basic stuff that everyone constantly makes fun of, like the magic underwear and gold plates. But you're teaching me.
If you're able to look up something right now online, this is kind of a fun thing to do. Like, this is a fun thing to do to show any Mormon friends of yours. So, where Joseph Smith found the plates of gold was called Hill Cumorah. Who put the plates of gold there? Who showed Joseph Smith where it was? The angel was named Moroni. He's the golden angel on top of the temple. So if you would look up, what is the capital of the Comoros Islands?
Comoros Islands?
Yep, it's off of Madagascar.
Okay. Is that anywhere near the... Oh, no, that's not near those guys. I was thinking of the North Sentinelese guys that killed that preacher dude.
Oh, no.
Further away.
So what's funny is if you look up what the capital of the Comoros Islands is, the capital's Moroni.
Which is the name of the angel, isn't it?
Well, it's Cumorah to Comoros. Got it?
I see.
Do you see how he does that?
Because back then, who's going to know any of that anyways, right?
Exactly. Who's going to look at these little islands with these names? And it's like, with the whole Nephi thing, you have Nephilim, which is the fallen angels.
Yep.
Cut that. You have Nephilim free, guys, right? Everyone knows Nephilim free. Take off the last little part. You have Nephi or Nephi. That's where he got it. That's where he got all these names from. It's very interesting how he did it. I mean, people say he was a dumb guy, some kid that didn't know anything. No, this guy was really freaking bright. He knew the Bible back and forwards and backwards, and he knew a lot of like the deep Greek mythology. Like, I could see a lot of the mythology in the Book of Mormon. It's like he would get his inspiration from everywhere. And it's just how he spoke and how he put it down. It's like people just fell right into it.
I can't remember who it was that I heard say this, but somebody compared him to just the way he was able to dupe so many people. Somebody compared him to P.T. Barnum, just the way he could talk and mesmerize people.
Oh yeah, like he would get people, like he would get the whole church in such a frenzy that like people's like the chemicals in their brains and like adrenaline would hit them, and he was like, "You guys feel that? That's a spirit in here. The spirit of God is in here." And then like somehow like the door would slam or open. It's like a huge spectacle. And they still do this. They still do this. Like temple doors would just slam open and people would hear a voice. That type of. It's like, wow, you guys are just brainwashed.
Brainwashed that can cause voluntary hallucinations, because you can hallucinate through every organ, or every, like your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears. You can hallucinate, and like each one separately too. So like sometimes when you wake up, or I've had this happen to me, you wake up and you're like, why do I smell flowers, right? And then I'm like, oh shit, am I having a stroke? But sometimes it's just a hallucination in your nose, right, or whatever they call that. Or you'll hear something, or you'll see something that isn't there, right? It happens all the time. It happens to us more often than people realize.
Yep. But it's like,
that shit to it.
Out here in Utah, it's very hard for an atheist. It's like you could even ask Staggers and Jags. I mean, he lives
like a song, man. Out here in Utah, it's hard for us atheists. It sounds like a blues tune.
It should be. I mean, it's like people do not like us at all.
Yeah, we're not the most popular bunch on the planet.
But it's because I just speak the truth to them. They come up to me and ask me questions all the time, and it's like, I've read part of the Book of Mormon. It's a better read than the Bible. I'll give you that. It's better written.
Mm-hmm.
It actually follows a storyline, but it's still crap. It's still crap,
Oh, sure. I mean, if you know it's fake and read it anyways, at least you know you're reading some kind of a story.
Yeah, but people come up and ask me all the time. They ask me all the time about these stories in the Book of Mormon, and I tell them exactly what it was supposed to mean, and they're like, "Holy cow, that makes sense." I'm like, "Yeah, was it from God? Or was it from this?" Think about it, guys.
Yeah. Well, my friend, we are closing in on an hour. Are you up for an after party?
Yeah, I'm down.
I mean, you usually jump in my other ones anyway, so.
Yeah. Well, I like to jump into my own, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the same without you, man.
Exactly.
All right, so what we'll do then, I guess, is I think we covered. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we say thanks to everyone for watching and stuff?
No, that's about it. If anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to ask me.
Sure. Yeah, we'll give it a few more minutes, and if you guys have if there's anything you didn't hear or wanted to hear that maybe I forgot about to ask, fire a question in the chat there, and I'll get it through. Well, he can see the chat as well, so. Well, factory overload. Yes, that's a good one.
I'm really into astrotheology. I'm really studying up on that. I know quite a bit about that. I try to stay away from the woo stuff, but a lot of it doesn't.
Astrotheology?
Yep, a lot of it makes sense where they get the stories from the stars.
Well, our ancestors always looked up to the stars, and we created all kinds of nonsensical things by doing that. That's how we ended up with astrology and all kinds of things.
Like and a lot of the stories in the Bible are based off of astrology.
Some of them for sure, definitely, because most of the tribalism of the day back then and further back was a lot of it's based on. I mean, if you look at the pyramids of Giza, right, they are aligned to the Orion's belt. They're, but because they designed them that way for whatever reason.
Okay, Doorknob has some questions. What do I miss most about religion? I would say the community. What did the church look like? It was a big building with a huge steeple on top of it.
Why is the sky blue?
Negatively charged ions appear blue into our eyes.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right.
What is the meaning of life? Is to procreate 42. to spread your DNA.
42.
I like Steve more than I like his brother or cousin that's doing it now.
Oh, Blue's Clues.
But Steve's off doing his band thing now, so you know.
Nadine, always with the what's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Michelangelo.
What's the sky blue? That was my favorite one, I think. All right, guys, we'll bring this one to a close. Oh, hang on. Hey, Badger's got something. What do you think about followers of less mainstream or less centralized religions such as paganism? Oh, actually, you asked that earlier, Badger. My bad. I should have said something.
Well, see, I know a little bit about paganism, not much, but the here's the definition. The definition of paganism is anything that's not Christian. That's pretty much what the Christians think. So if it's like, like mythology, polytheism, that type of thing, I find it interesting. I find it very entertaining that there are still people that believe in that type of thing. And, so long as their beliefs don't cause any harm, I'm fine with it. Do no harm, but take no shit. That,
True enough. And Doorknob Head, just so you know, I actually have a t-shirt that says, if I ever need religion, I will worship bacon. So, yes, paganism. I like that. That's good.
Spooky, it's Bridget the Midget.
Midget porn star? Favorite midget porn? Okay. I'm not getting into midget porn stars, guys.
Bridget the Midget.
I know who she is. I've heard that.
Yeah, I know.
I've never seen anything, but yeah, not my thing. I'll stick to the anime tentacle porn. Anyway. All right, guys.
Into a dumpster fire.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do it. We'll do a chat about this someday. Yeah, there we go, Nadine, with all the strips of bacon. No, now I want bacon. Fuck. But I know my roommate's putting it in her clam chowder that she's making. So, yay! I'm such a prude. That's okay. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And Reece, man, thanks for doing this with me. I was unsure whether or not you were going to be into this. I thought you were kind of turned off by a lot of the community shit that was happening there. So.
Oh no, I just couldn't keep up, and I hate the program. It's like I get notifications, like my phone's just dinging all day at work, and it's like I try to turn off the notifications, and somehow they turn back on, and then it's like I'm done with it.
For a long time. You can mute them for good too. You know that, right?
Yeah, but I just didn't like the program.
Yeah, I know. Well, just so you know, my friend Randolph Richardson, who you might remember from the group there, he is coming up with a new type of what do you call it, social media group like that that's going to be strictly for atheists. So once that starts happening, everyone will probably, that we all know in our little group, will be invited into that. It'll be a similar thing to it'll be like a combination of a bunch of different styles. I can't get too much into it because it's still in the works, and but it is coming, and I'm definitely going to be one of the first people to jump in that one. So I'll let you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, again, dude, thanks for doing this. I was concerned you might not want to, so I'm very, very happy that you did, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. I did. I learned a lot. You taught me some shit I didn't know today, so that's great.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome. And thanks, guys, for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button down below there. And if you're tuned in and someone told you to come here and you're not subbed to me, then hit the subscribe button, because I do these Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, usually, unless something comes up. Every fourth or fifth Wednesday, I think, is one of my blood donation days. So I usually am not doing it on that Wednesday. Anyway, we're going to do an after party, so I will have a fresh link to you shortly, my friend, and you guys know where to find the link for this. If you're not in my usual suspects group and you would like to jump into the after party, let me know through Twitter if you're following me, and I can send you a link there. And until next time, guys, remember, one thing I always say at the end of these things is it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.